Just need to do a couple of stretches, but we are good to go. Hey everyone, this is Robert, and thank you for tuning in to Station Square. And today we're going to be chatting with someone who's been in the business for a while, and they've certainly got they've got a knowledge like I don't know what I'm trying to do here, but today we got somebody who's been here for a while and they've been doing VO work for so many different clients like Ford, ESPN, so on and so forth. So we have Mr. Troy Holden on the show today, and thank you very much for joining me on this wonderful Friday morning or afternoon, whichever time zone we're in. So yeah, excited to talk about anything with you. So let's chat.
Well, Robert, good to be here. Thanks for asking me. And yeah, I've been a little under the weather this week. I think we're going to have an early fall. I usually get fall allergies in September, and I've already got them here in mid August. So I'm wondering if we're going to have an early fall. But yeah, good to be here, and I think my voice will hold up for a few minutes anyway.
Absolutely. Um, yeah, I know it's starting to become that season where it's like, oh yeah, allergies, they're starting to run amok. But nothing like a little allergy can't keep us down, you know?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told a client yesterday, he'd asked for a revision on something I did last week. And I said, I don't know if it's going to exactly match, but, we'll surprise ourselves. We get our throat cleared and have a cup of hot tea or something, and it'll amaze you how you can get your voice right back where it's supposed to be. So
There you
it
go.
worked out.
Yep, totally. Um, So yeah, we could just discuss first, well, we could just go over a little recap of, how 2023 has been like for you, like what projects that you've been working on as of late, just do like the breaking the ice type of thing.
Sure,
So we could just
sure.
talk about, retrospective on, well, at least the first half of 2023, like so far, since it's now August, which is nuts to me, but yeah, we could just talk about how this year has been for you and what you've
Yeah.
managed to
And
accomplish.
yeah, and this year has, excuse me, absolutely flown by. It has really gone fast. The year started off in January with the ESPN and the Top Golf spot that played during Super Bowl, which was awesome to have been booked to something like that. I had also some recurring clients that carried into the year through automotive, with some automotive dealerships and with a couple of restaurants that I do, and that was great. Continuing to market and try to get more direct business, and I guess we can revert back here in a minute, and I'll talk about the journey of how I started and the type of business I started with and where it's at now and how that's changed. But the year has been good. I have progressively increased month over month. I will say July was a very I want to say I don't want to say very slow, but it was a lot slower than the rest of the year. So, but if we look at the first 6 months, it was a really successful first half of the year. July didn't start off so great, but August, fortunately, today only being actually when we're recording the 11th, is I'm already ahead of where I was for the whole month of July. So I'm really happy with how I think the rest of the year is going to go. And picking up some of these clients, I'm on a couple of games and apps I'm not allowed to talk about yet. Hopefully, it won't be too much longer. But in the last couple of weeks, I booked Toby Keith's Bar and Grill out in Oklahoma, the TV commercials for that, and also picked up a thing for Kyle Petty has a TV show. I'll probably get the name wrong. I think it's called like Drive and Dine with Kyle Petty or something like that. And I picked up some intros for his TV show where I'll be doing like a Dukes of Hazard type introduction like they used to do in the old TV show, because he's having, I think, a couple of those guys on as guests. So a lot of fun stuff to work on, but I also do a lot of the boring stuff, the corporate narration and the e-learning and stuff that we don't get glory for, but we sure get paid, and that's what matters.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with you 100%. Um, Because it's like you got to do the boring stuff, you know. It's like, oh, I want to be in anime or whatever like franchise that you want to get into, but it's also you gotta do like, you know, you gotta do your political, the automotives, the education, like e-learning and stuff. Like they can be
Hmm.
fun, but it's like, oh wow, I gotta talk about politics. Okay.
And you'll learn something when you do a lot of that. I mean,
You really
I've
do.
learned a lot about the planets and the solar system. I've got a YouTube channel I do called Space Matters, and they have a ton of followers. And I've learned a lot there about dinosaurs and things like that. Things I would never have looked into, you know, had I not read those narrations. And I narrate an outdoor channel where I've learned about bow fishing. Well, I didn't even know there was such thing as bow fishing. I didn't know you could go fishing with a bow. That was really interesting to see. And you know, they go out and shoot stingrays and different things, and you know, so it's all fascinating and what we learn as we go through this journey.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. You could just learn new things every day,
Hmm.
um, without even realizing it. So it
Yep.
is what
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
I hear people talking about electric cars all the time, and I used to narrate
Yeah.
an electric car channel, and I didn't realize how much I knew about the different models and how the batteries were made, and you know this, that, and the other. And you don't, as you're narrating that, you don't think about it sometimes because you're reading it and you're trying to make it believable and you're trying to be informative, but you don't realize what you retain a lot of times. And I was that kind of kid in school. I hated to study, but you know, if I heard it and the teacher lectured about it, I could usually remember it. But I was not the type person to want to sit down and read and study and do all that stuff. Made good grades somehow, but I was not a kid that liked to study or liked to read. So when people talk about, you know, they do audio books, I'm like, I envy you that you could sit and read an audio book because I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, yeah, audiobooks is a whole different beast on its own, man.
For sure, for sure. I can't imagine. But
Yeah.
I talked about how a little about how things had changed for me and the type of work when I first started in voiceover. I had always wanted to be in voiceover, but in 2020, uh, when a lot of the COVID things had happened where I worked, that was where I really got introduced into it, where we were bringing people back to work and, you know, you got to stay 6 feet apart and you got to do this and that. So we were making videos and I was narrating the videos where I worked. And the HR lady said, "Hey, you could make a living doing this." And I'm like, "Really?" And so I started looking into it. And next thing I knew, I was doing it part time and I was on some of the sites like Upwork and Bodalgo and different places, Fiverr, trying to get work and trying to learn more about it. And the more I did that and the more I learned, the more I wanted to be I guess we'd say a bona fide voice actor. And I wanted to do things the right way through agencies and through, you know, self marketing and trying to get my own work. So that was the change for me after the first year. I made enough money part time that I could invest in the coaching and the equipment and build a studio and get everything done. And then a year after that, I went into it full time in 2022, January 2022, and haven't looked back since. So it's been a tough climb. It's a tough business, and I think it's even harder now. There's so many people getting in, and the competition's so stiff. And I think it's harder for people now to get a foothold and get started. It takes longer. You know, I was fortunate; it only took me a couple years to get going, but I think now people are seeing it's a little harder.
Yeah, because especially since the start of the pandemic, with so many people, there's a lot of actors that are just getting their start, whether they come from like all different backgrounds, like theater or radio and film,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of. I mean, I definitely welcome, you know, new faces and definitely a lot of more. There's more of you know, and more diversity, especially. I
Hmm.
know it's
Hmm.
like there's a lot of new. There's definitely new folks that are just joining every single day, and it's like we welcome them with open arms. Um, but it's definitely like, really tougher to break into because now it's like, oh, there's a lot of like people are gonna read there so many auditions and submissions and people are reading the same thing that you are. And it's like there's only so many different a lot of talented actors and only one can be chosen. And
Right.
it can be
Right.
pretty, yeah, from the casting director's perspective and from the actor's perspective, it can be tough.
It can be. It's very tough, and now we'll see on a daily basis if you're on Voice 123 or Voices.com, and you're going through that grind. If you're not early, you're not in the first 25 or 30 people getting in. You're not sure if they're even going to listen at all. And
Mhm.
even then, sometimes they don't. But it doesn't mean you're bad at what you do. It just means they've already heard what they were looking for. And that's hard for us to accept sometimes. That's what's, to me, one of the hardest things of this business. We don't get feedback, except from each other. If we're in a peer group or a workshop, we get feedback or from a coach, but all these auditions we do, you usually don't hear anything back unless you get a short list, and you say, "Oh, I got shortlisted. It was really great. I must have done okay." But then you don't get it and you feel disappointed, but you shouldn't feel disappointed. A short list can be a win. And, booking ratios are some people book 50 to 1, some people book 70 to 1. It just depends. It's a tough market out there, and I'm in a more of a niche. If it's not a and I'm working on it, but if it's not more of a southern accent or a Texas voice or this voice or that voice, I don't even audition because I don't feel like I can honestly compete against people that have a very flat, non-distinguishable accent. So I have to be careful with that as well. Although I am being coached for that now, and I hope by the end of the year to be able to compete in that realm. But right now, I have to pick and choose. So it limits some of the things I can do.
Mhm. So I know that you're from Nashville.
Hmm.
So in that market, I know that it's really huge in the music industry, but for
Hmm.
voiceover, like finding work in, Nashville, specifically as an actor, um, I'm just kind of curious because I know it's definitely different for everyone, but I'm just
Hmm.
wondering how it's like, finding work or, when it comes to marketing or buying, like with what you're doing as an entrepreneur, like how would you describe like the day-to-day life of, booking or finding work, being
Well,
based in the Nashville area?
Well, for me, I mean, and for anybody, no matter where you are, so much of this is online and you
Yeah,
can,
remote.
through the
Yeah.
casting sites. But you are right. Local marketing is a part of your business. And I not only market locally, I'm in a town just above Nashville and I market in that area, in that county, and also market in the Nashville area. So I will go to the production houses in Nashville. There are a few agencies in Nashville that do some casting. I have booked several pitch projects to where maybe they're pitching to the Grand Ole Opry or they're pitching to Dollywood or they're pitching to somebody, and I get in on that, and those pay pretty nicely. Even if you don't get the final job, the pitch project will pay well. So getting out and doing all of that stuff, making sure that you're marketing yourself and you're emailing those people every month or sending out a newsletter and just reminding them that you're here. And in the automotive realm, which we don't market directly to the dealerships anyway, we're marketing to production houses. So there's a few in the Nashville and Memphis area that I can market to, but the local marketing is, you don't have to over concentrate on it, because I think there's so much you can market to as a whole, whether it be nationwide production houses, et cetera. But I do target market. I pick states that I know my voice is a better fit for. I'll go to Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, North Carolina, South Carolina. I'll stay in that section of the country where I market the hardest, and then I'll do my auditions for my agents and for the online platforms as well. So it keeps you busy. I mean, it's an 8 hour day every day at least.
Yeah, and I'm just curious, like outside of marketing and um, doing the local stuff that you've been doing, like what is something else that keeps you um, like I guess afloat? Like I know that when it comes to going through the dry spells or going
Hmm.
having weeks without working on something, like outside of marketing, what else do you do that that keeps you productive and busy during these
Well,
times?
having a Facebook group has really been a big part of it. I have a group called the VO Life um, on Facebook. We have about 1,700 people in there, I think. So, one of the services I offer is business consulting for people starting out if they have no idea how to market, no idea what their website should look like. I try to give them very affordable help with that. And then I also do sample spots if they need samples to put up online, or I help them with demos. And that will usually fill in some of the areas if I'm not incredibly busy. And I also do some workshops in automotive with Jenna Birmingham. Jenna is affiliated with Cliff Zellman, and she is a affiliated coach. So she does most of the coaching, but I do the legwork and set everything up and come to the workshop with her and provide feedback. And just started this month doing workshops with helping people eliminate their radio voice. So, and you can't change your voice if you have a radio voice, but we can help you change your energy level or your tone or the way you read a copy versus how you would read it as a radio guy just doing a commercial because they want you to do the commercial. So we're trying to help them be more conversational, more authentic. And we had a workshop this week for that, and I think there were 4 people that were totally 100% radio people. And by the end of the 3 hours, they were able to give a pretty good conversational read. They got to keep working at it, but they got some really good tips to help them. So I try to do things like that to give back to the VO community. And these are things that are very reasonable, and I'm not charging people $2,000 for a demo, and I'm not charging them $200 to come to a workshop. Everything's reasonable. But if people that aren't a member of the VO Life group, feel free to jump in and answer a couple questions, and they've got the opportunity to come to those things.
Yeah. Like I said, there's a lot that have come from a radio background, so it can be kind of hard
Hmm.
to eliminate that. The, I mean, not that I'm saying that it's not bad to have a really good radio voice. I know
Hmm.
that the industry these days are looking for more conversational reads,
Right.
and I know that's one
Right.
of the big shifts into more. That's why we're getting like a lot more grounded performances, like for video games and just in commercials, because it's like, oh yeah, like you're speaking to somebody and um you're like if you're advertising for Ford, it's like, okay, so you have to know the audience who you're talking to. So pretty much like still learning everything that you've been doing for character work.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it trust me, it's a lot easier said than done. Like
Yes, it
I'm not gonna
is.
be
It
like,
is.
yeah,
Yeah. What I run into
it's gonna be
is
something that you can master overnight, is what I'm trying to say.
right. It takes time, and you have to come up with a method that you're going to use, and you have to get mindful to apply it every time you approach that copy, because if you don't, you're going to revert back into old habits. And I was never on the radio, but ever since I was a child, it was what I wanted to do. And so I emulated that all the time. When I first got into VO, that was what I thought I was supposed to do is come on down and we'll get you 2 for $9.99 and we'll do this for $18.95. And I'd get all excited and want to do that. And then I learned really quickly from my first coach, he's like, you can't do that. you have to do this, you have to do, pull back, and you've got to, just like you're talking to a friend or having a cup of coffee with somebody. And everybody coaches from that aspect of, friendly, conversational, who are you talking to, but you have to even go further back. You got to build, how did that character get there? Who were they before this copy came along? And put yourself in their shoes, and then you walk into that copy and become that copy. If you don't connect 100% to that copy that you're reading, then the casting director is going to hear it immediately, and they're going to go to the next person. They're going to skip you and move on. And so what we're all trying to develop is that natural, like you said, that grounded, natural, conversational, real voice. We have it, but we get in front of this thing called a microphone and we forget it. We just forget how to do it, and we start trying to perform or be something we're not because we think we're not good enough. But just yourself, you, is what they want to hear, is you as yourself. And it's hard to do.
Yep, absolutely. Um, so who are some of the people that you consider to be like that really helped you, on your journey so far that you kind of you would like to thank for, taking you under their wing, so to
Oh
speak?
yeah, absolutely. The first coach I ever worked with was Mike Hathcote. Mike is a Telly Award winning VO. He was affiliated with Bill DeWeese. A lot of people know who Bill is because he's all over YouTube, teaching about
Oh,
voiceover.
yes.
And so Mike was the first coach I worked with. From there, I worked with Kim Handysides. She's up in Canada. She's really focuses on the acting. But in the last year or so, I give a lot of credit to Mark Ryder, Ryder VO. I give a lot of credit to Brad Highland, Brad helping me with authenticity, and here lately to Tina Marasco. Tina is excellent at teaching that, and she has a new video series out now that you can subscribe to and just watch it over and over and over, and it is wonderful in helping you lower how you get into your authenticity and how you stay in your authenticity. So she is she's been a godsend for that. So all of those people, give them all a lot of credit, and I'm sure there's others I've done individual sessions with. And I want to thank my number one mentor has been JJ Wilson. JJ was a member of the voiceover gurus with Linda Bruno, and Linda's been fantastic as well. But JJ has been a friend. He actually lived nearby for a while. He's moved up to Pennsylvania now, but been in the business 35 years and had so much knowledge and still working every day. He's the voice of Grasshopper lawnmowers right now. So, still working, still booking, and just a great guy and a great friend. So, all of those people have been integral in what I've done, and you have got to have those people in your corner. This is not a thing that you can just go out and do it without support and without help and without teaching and mentors.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, it's like all of us every day are just, we're all, we never stop learning. Like we train and we help each other out. And like, it's a small world.
Mm-hmm.
And having that good support group can really help you, can definitely make a huge difference in your life. It really
Mm-hmm.
does.
It does. And I also encourage people to have some kind of small accountability group with 1 to 2 people that you trust, that you have maybe gotten to know well over the last 6 months or a year. Maybe one of them is a little ahead of you in the game, one of them might be a little behind you. So you can help that person and the other person can help you, but you meet once a week and you get feedback from each other, you encourage each other. And I'm fortunate to have that with a couple of guys. And without that, I don't know that I would be able to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And it's also like getting to, and it's about making like genuine, like organic relationships with, your clients, your friends.
Hmm.
Kindness can really go a long way.
It does. It really does. And a lot of people say, well, when you start marketing, you need to build a relationship with people. I have a different belief. I think you build the relationship once you make that connection. I think marketing is just to find out, am I a fit for you? Do I offer you something you need? And they can say yes or no. And if they say no, that's okay. I can move on to someone else. My thing is once we connect and they say, hey, I'd like to put you on my roster, or hey, I liked your demo, just anything positive. Now I want to build that relationship. And then I'm going to ask, hey, could we jump on a Zoom call? I want to learn more about your company. Or, can we talk further? I want to learn more about you and what you offer to your clients. You have to have a genuine concern as to what they are doing, and you want to learn about what they're doing, and then you build that relationship, and then hopefully maybe get to work with those people. But I'm a big believer in the first point of contact is just, here's what I have, take a listen and see if it works for you, and if it doesn't, thank you, thanks for your time, and I won't bother you anymore. Hit the opt out button and I won't bother you anymore. And I'm a believer in that. I think it's just it's a yes or no thing. It's not a, I don't want to spend a lot of time. If I'm going to send 100 emails, I don't need to know all those 100 people intimately yet. But the one or two that reply back, I want to get to know them because it matters. The others, we're just testing each other, and it's kind of the same thing with me. If somebody sends me things about, hey, I'm a virtual assistant and maybe I could help you, and then I might go, yeah, maybe you could. And then we ask each other some questions and see if we have a personality fit. But if some guy sends me a thing and says, hey, I'm a plumber and I'm looking for some plumbing assistance, well, I don't do plumbing, so my answer is going to be, no, I can't help you, so he and I are done. But I just think you don't, people worry so much about building a relationship right out of the chute. Wait until you make a connection and then work on the relationship. Save you some time.
Yeah, and out of the demos and out of all of the spots that you've done so far, what are you the most proud of to date? Like, I mean, as of this
Ooh.
time, yeah.
That's a tough question because even some of the small things that I've done, I'm very proud of. But I think my relationship with Cotton Patch Cafe in Texas is probably my biggest accomplishment because it's been a long-standing client. And that company, is kind of like Cracker Barrel or Waffle House. They're a pretty big deal. They cover the whole state of Texas, and those spots are being heard all over the state on radio and TV. And I have people tell me they've heard it out in the wild if they were in Texas or at the airport, and they might have heard a spot, and that means a lot to me, that I know that's getting out. But even some of the small things that I've done, even like locally for my local chamber of commerce here, I did a little 15-second TV spot to help them advertise a festival, and things like that mean a lot to me because it's local. But they're all great and they're all important, right down to people that are even just doing things for their website. But yeah, Cotton Patch for now is probably my favorite. And then I think if this Toby Keith relationship pans out, because I was always a big country music fan when I was younger and always wanted to. I was a songwriter and tried to break into that business and didn't, but it would be nice to have success with a country artist and doing the commercials for his restaurant. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, and it's really cool. Like, you just never know what you'll be working on or what you'll end up doing in
Right.
this business. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I never would have thought I'd be the voice of an outdoor TV channel. I never thought I'd be the voice of a restaurant or anything when I started, because I saw the type of work I was doing. A lot of YouTube narrations. This will probably surprise people, but the first 2 years in voiceover, I probably narrated 4,000 YouTube narrations. And you're talking about maybe 8 different channels, and they would do 2 or 3 videos a week, and next thing you know, it's up to 4,000. And I finally got away from all of that about a year ago. I only have the one left. It's the Space Matters channel, and it's a good paying gig. But some of the others you were doing for 10, 15, $20 a pop just because you wanted the work and needed the work. I don't regret doing it. It taught me how to read ahead. It made me more articulate. It gave me editing skills that I never would have gotten in my equipment, in my DAW. But it was a lot of work for very little money. But it taught me a lot, so I don't regret it.
Yeah, definitely reminds me of this one gig that I was doing for I don't know if I can say the amount of money that I was making, but it was low paid and I was doing like a couple of narrations like every day. And eventually I just got really busy and I just couldn't really do it anymore.
Hmm.
Um, you really got to know your worth. That's something um,
Right.
that should be shared, um, for anybody who wants to get into this. Know your worth and know how valuable it is, and you gotta respect the time, and just gotta know like when to say no to stuff,
Right. And you can
especially if some of it
eventually.
was, yeah,
Yeah, and you can eventually let that work go because you will
yeah,
rise above that work. And that was where I had to make those decisions. I'm like, gosh, I'm going to give up, $1,200 a month. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but look how much time I'm going to free up. And then I start marketing and I'm doing more reaching out and and I replace that work immediately. And you will. Yes, you will do things for less than industry rate when you start. You probably will, but your goal is to work up to that. And like you said, know your worth, and you'll earn it. Through your experiences and through your knowledge, you'll get to the point that you are worth what you're being paid, and don't be ashamed to ask for that. I turn jobs down every week now that a year and a half ago I would have taken. I would have taken those jobs because I thought, well, that's $100 or that's $150. But I started paying attention to exclusivity. I started paying attention to in perpetuity and understanding more what all those things meant. And then I knew that you don't ever take a paid placement ad in perpetuity because they can use it forever. And most reputable companies know better, and they will pay you rights for 1 year, and they'll renew those rights if they want to keep using it. And that's how it works. But you have to learn all those things, and most people starting out, they don't know. And so I encourage, always encourage everybody, try to learn about the rates, understand the usage. That's the most important thing, is knowing the usage. That's where most new people end up giving work away.
yep. Um, and it's like finding like just the right balance. It's like, okay, so what work can I take? What work can I not do? So it's like it's having to manage.
Mm-hmm.
It's time management, that's something that most of us tend to struggle with, but at the same time it's like um you know, it is also part of our business, daily planning and having to keep yourself organized. Um
Yes. It's a
and
business. You have
yeah,
to run it. I
exactly.
mean, you have to run it as a business. You're self-employed. You're an entrepreneur. You're expected
Yep.
to be the
You're
social
your own
media.
boss. Yeah.
Yeah, you're the social media manager, you're the accountant, you're the talent, sometimes you're the copywriter. I mean, you're doing everything, and sometimes you have to have help. You may not be a website designer. You may, need to hire somebody to do some of those things, and that's what you do as a smart businessman or businesswoman. You make those decisions, and you hire some things out, and you do what you can do when you have time to do it. But there does come a time when, like you said, you're out of time. You need so many hours a day to deliver work, so many hours a day to market, so many hours a day for this, and then there's no time left. So you have to farm those things out. That's part of it.
Yeah. Um, and especially if you're working for clients or if you're doing something with low pay, and especially if they're using it to promote, I'm just saying. um, yeah, definitely there's definitely projects that you should stay away from. That's all I'm
For
saying.
sure. For sure.
Um,
Right.
but yeah, like what else? I know that we're kind of almost out of time, but what else do you want to share or promote? Like, you can just share your social media or like any last bit of advice that you want to close us out on.
Oh, sure.
And yeah, just to wrap this up.
So my website is troyholdenvoices.com. The Facebook page I mentioned is the VO Life. That's also a podcast that is on just about every podcast forum. There's about 125 episodes. It goes from the start of my career to where I am now. It goes through a lot of changes in what I believed when I started and what I believe now. And if you go through a lot of those episodes, you'll know that. If I can ever help anybody with just some advice, I offer a free consult on my website. If you're in VO and you just want to talk about it and understand it better, and you've got questions, I'll be happy to hook up with you and talk with you about the business. And yeah, I'm just trying to pay some of it forward and hopefully help those not make the same mistakes that I made.
Oh, definitely. Um, and it's really important to make mistakes. I know a lot of us are like, oh, I don't want to, but it's like the whole point of learning is to grow from the mistakes. And I
Correct.
think that's something that should be taught more often, if I'm going to be
Yeah,
completely honest.
that's
Yeah,
true.
because
That's
trust me,
true.
all of us, we're not perfect.
Yeah, we
We're all
learn by
human.
doing. We
Yeah,
learn by doing. We're humans, and that's how we learn. And that's
yeah,
how I learned. And that's what I share is I did it this way and it didn't work. I switched to this way. It did work. It may work for
yeah.
you. I mean, we could put 25 voice actors in a room and describe their path, and you'll get 25 different answers. We all get to where we go a
Absolutely.
different way. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's been really nice having you on and getting to chat with you. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise. And yeah, like we'll definitely check out your work and support Troy. And yeah, everybody have a good weekend. And without any much else to say, I'm Robert Jackson, and this has been Station Square, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.